I think this could work because Marc André Fleury's personality is a combination between easygoing, fun-loving, and hyper-competitive. He's one of the best goalies that's ever played to play for a fourth cup, and I think he'll bring a lot into a room that's already a really good dressing room.
Marc André Fleury is a three-time Stanley Cup champ, a Vezina winner, and an Olympic gold medalist. But his career? Yeah, it's been a roller coaster. From getting benched in the playoffs to finding out he was traded on Twitter, he's been through it all. And now, at almost 40, he's still out here making insane saves. But how did he go from a wide-eyed rookie to one of the most beloved goalies ever? And what's next as he heads into what might be his final season? Buckle up. This is the harsh truth about Marc André Fleury. Let's get into it. Let's rewind to 2003, the NHL draft. The Pittsburgh Penguins were struggling, and they needed a franchise player. Instead of going for a flashy forward, they took a chance on an 18-year-old goaltender from Quebec, Marc André Fleury. A goalie going first overall? That almost never happens, but Pittsburgh saw something special. His rookie season? Brutal. He was getting lit up every night behind a terrible Penguins defense. At one point, they even sent him back to juniors because they couldn't afford his bonus money. Welcome to the NHL, kid. But Fleury didn't quit. As the team got better, so did he. By 2008, he was their rock and net, making that iconic diving save in Game 5 of the Stanley Cup Final. And a year later, he backstopped the Penguins to a Stanley Cup victory, including a legendary last-second stop on Nicklas Lidstrom to seal the win.
Comes back to the point. Rafalski, the shot, knocked down in front, scrambled in front, the shot, the horn sounds, and the Penguins have won the Stanley Cup.
Fans loved him, his teammates loved him, and with that big smile and goofy personality, Fleury was one of the most likable guys in hockey. But behind the scenes, his future in Pittsburgh was already on thin ice, and things were about to get messy. You'd think after winning a Stanley Cup, Fleury's job in Pittsburgh would be safe, right? Well, not exactly. A few years later, the Penguins had a new young goalie, Matt Murray, and when Fleury struggled in the playoffs, Pittsburgh made a tough call. In 2017, they benched Fleury and rolled with Murray instead. It worked. They won another Stanley Cup, but Fleury, he was stuck watching from the bench, knowing his time in Pittsburgh was ticking down. Then came the expansion draft. The brand new Vegas Golden Knights needed a goalie, and Pittsburgh had to make a choice, Fleury or Murray. After 14 years, 3 cups, and being the heart of the team, the Penguins left Fleury exposed. Just like that, he was gone. Fans were heartbroken. When he returned to Pittsburgh as a Knight, the crowd gave him a massive standing ovation, because even though he wasn't a Penguin anymore, he'd always be family. But here's the crazy part. Getting kicked to Vegas? It wasn't the end of Fleury's story. In fact, it might have been the best thing that ever happened to him. Because what he did in Vegas? Nobody saw it coming. When Fleury landed in Vegas, let's be honest, nobody knew what to expect. Expansion teams are usually terrible. People thought the Golden Knights would be a bottom feeder team. And Fleury? Some figured he was just there to ride out the last few years of his career. But then, he went off. Fleury played some of the best hockey of his life, making highlight reel saves night after night. And suddenly, this team of so-called misfits wasn't just good, they were dominating.
And their penalty kill brought to you by Auto Nation. Drive on from Dumba, deflected, and a big save, Fleury. A diving save to his left to rob Zach Parise.
Against all odds, Vegas made it to the Stanley Cup Final in their very first season. Even though they fell short against the Capitals, Fleury had completely silenced the doubters. He wasn't just still good, he was elite. Over the next few years, he racked up wins, set records, and in 2021, he finally won the Vezina Trophy as the league's best goalie at 36 years old. But just when it seemed like he'd found a home in Vegas, boom, another brutal twist. Imagine giving everything to a team, leading them to the Stanley Cup Final, winning a Vezina Trophy, becoming a fan favorite, and then waking up one morning to find out on Twitter that you've been traded. That's exactly what happened to Fleury. No warning, no courtesy call, just a brutal reminder that the NHL is a business.
I know, I've known these guys for a while now, and I don't know, I just want to put this behind and move on. I think it's, I've told them all I care about is winning and the best for the team, and I think they know that.
And where was he headed? Chicago, a team that was falling apart fast. Fleury, being the pro he is, didn't bail, even though he could have. He showed up, played hard, and despite the Blackhawks' struggles, he still managed to hit a massive milestone: 1,000 career NHL games. Only a handful of goalies in history have done that, but let's be real, Chicago wasn't where he belonged. Mid-season, he got another call, this time a fresh start: Minnesota. The Wild were gearing up for a playoff run, and they needed Fleury's experience. It wasn't a fairy tale ending, but Fleury gave them everything he had. Of course, in true Fleury fashion, he kept things entertaining. Whether it was his almost fight with Jordan Binnington, where both goalies were ready to throw down before the refs got in the way, or his stick-smashing meltdowns, Fleury never held back. And now, he's still standing, still competing, and somehow, at almost 40 years old, still making ridiculous saves. But with the retirement looming, one big question remains: how will Fleury's story end? At almost 40 years old, most goalies are long retired, maybe coaching, maybe playing beer league hockey. But not Marc André Fleury. He's still out there throwing himself across the crease, making saves that defy logic. But he knows the clock is ticking. He's already said that the 2024-25 season will be his last. One final year, one last ride. And honestly, it's gonna be emotional. Fleury isn't just a player, he's a legend, fan favorite everywhere he's been. Whether it was the teary goodbyes in Montreal, the standing ovation in Pittsburgh, or the way Vegas fell in love with him instantly, he's one of the most beloved goalies in NHL history. But there's still one thing missing: a storybook ending. A final playoff run, maybe even another Stanley Cup. So, will Fleury's career end with one last moment of glory? Or will it be a quiet exit for one of the best goalies of his generation? Whatever happens next, one thing is for sure: the game won't feel the same without Fleury. His energy, his personality, and his ridiculous saves have been part of the NHL for decades. So as we enter his final season, let's appreciate every moment, because once he's gone, there won't be another goalie quite like him. When Fleury finally steps off the ice for the last time, he won't just be remembered for the 3 Stanley Cups, the Vezina Trophy, or the 1,000+ games played. He'll be remembered for the way he played the game, with joy, with heart, and with a little bit of chaos thrown in. Because let's be real, Fleury wasn't just a great goalie, he was pure entertainment. Whether it was his insane reflex saves, his stick-breaking meltdowns, or that time he almost fought Jordan Binnington, he always gave fans something to talk about. And then there's his personality. In a sport full of serious, no-nonsense guys, Fleury was the one laughing, pranking teammates, and making sure hockey was still fun. Ask anyone who played with him, and they'll tell you, he was one of the best teammates ever. So yeah, the numbers are incredible. The trophies speak for themselves. But Fleury's real legacy? He's one of the most loved goalies in NHL history. And as he skates off into retirement, one thing's for sure: the NHL won't be the same without him. Where does Fleury rank among the all-time greats? Let us know in the comments, and don't forget to like and subscribe, because Fleury's story is just beginning.